At dawn on January 31st, 1921, Surfman C.P. Brady climbed down the lookout perch at the U.S. Coast Guard's Cape Station. Peering out into the morning fog, he spied a dark shape out on the shallow waters of the Diamond Shoals, a treacherous stretch of shifting sandbars off the coast of North Carolina, rightfully nicknamed the Graveyard of the Atlantic. Once the mist cleared, it revealed a stranded schooner. The vessel was a striking sight, 255 feet long, with 5 towering masts, and all sails were eerily set. The ship had run aground in the dead of night, but the crew, all 11 of them, had vanished without a trace. The Carroll A Deering was a sturdy ship built in 1919, designed to carry coal at a capacity of 3,500 tons. The ship was owned by the G.G. Deering Company of Maine and named after the owner's son, Carroll. It was one of the largest schooners at the time. In the summer of 1920, the Deering left Virginia for Rio de Janeiro with a cargo of coal, commanded by an experienced captain, William Merritt. However, Captain Merritt fell ill during the journey and was replaced by Captain W.B. Warmell. Joined by a crew of 10 men, the new captain and his crew successfully delivered its cargo in Brazil. The ship then left Rio and set sail for Norfolk, Virginia, on December 2nd. The ship made a brief stop for supplies at a port in Barbados. During their stay, Captain Warmell met a fellow captain, G.W. Bunker. Warmell expressed concerns to Bunker about the crew he found himself leading. He considered them unruly, especially his first mate, Charles McLellan. Later during their stay, McLellan unleashed a drunken tirade in town. He grumbled to Captain Hugh Norton of the Snow that his authority over the crew was constantly being undermined by Captain Warmell's interference. And later that same evening, Captain Norton and his companions heard McLellan at the Continental Cafe slurring, "I'll get the old man before we reach Norfolk. I will." Half veiled by a haze of rum, it was dismissed as drunken bravado. Still, McLellan's behavior escalated, landing him in jail. On January 9th, Captain Warmell, either trusting in McLellan's loyalty or blinded by mercy, paid his bail. And against all murmurs of caution, Warmell forgave the incident, and the ship set sail for Norfolk, the Deering disappearing once more into the Atlantic. By January 28th, the schooner was spotted off the coast of North Carolina by the Cape Lookout lightship. A lightship is an anchored ship that guides other ships passing by with its lights and radio. Through the foggy haze of that day, Captain Jacobson, the lightship's keeper, reported a strange interaction. He sighted the Deering about to pass and noticed that the crewmen were gathering on the foredeck of the ship, where they were not normally allowed. Then a tall, thin man with red hair and a foreign accent, who did not act or speak like an officer, called out through a megaphone, claiming that the Deering had lost its anchors in a storm off of Cape Fear. The man pleaded for Jacobson to contact the vessel's owners, the G.G. Deering Company, but Jacobson's radio was dead, leaving the request unfulfilled. Captain Jacobson also sighted a mysterious steamer in the same area. He attempted to contact the steamer, but contrary to maritime law, they simply ignored him and changed course. The crew was seen on board deliberately unfurling a canvas to obscure the ship's nameplate, shrouding its identity in secrecy before sailing away in the same direction as the Deering. The following afternoon, another vessel caught sight of the Deering. It was eerily silent, sailing steadily towards the perilous Diamond Shoals. Not a single soul moved on its decks. They didn't attempt to contact and assumed the Deering's crew would recognize the looming danger of the shoals and correct their course. This was a fatal assumption. That was the last time anyone saw the Deering afloat, and all 11 men were never seen again. Rescue ships were unable to approach the grounded vessel due to bad weather in the area. The ship was not boarded until February 4th. Once boarded, investigators immediately noticed that the wheel and steering equipment were destroyed. Some food was found at the galley, which was likely being prepared for the next day's meal, so it seemed that they left in a hurry. However, several things were missing: the 2 lifeboats, logs, navigational instruments, and the main anchors, which corroborated Captain Jacobson's interaction with the red-haired man. When the captain's cabin was inspected, the spare bed appeared to have been used, and several pairs of boots were found. This indicated that multiple people were occupying it near the end. Red lights were also strung up the mast, suggesting that the Deering wanted a signal for help. A map that was used to record the day-to-day movements of the ship was also found. Captain Warmel marked the map until January 23rd, but after that, it was someone else's handwriting. Following the vessel's discovery aground on the Diamond Shoals, the U.S. government launched an investigation into its mysterious fate. Herbert Hoover's assistant, Lawrence Ritchie, was tasked with the case. Ritchie pored over the logbooks of the Coast Guard's lightship, hoping to piece together the Deering's final movements. Reports from an Italian inquiry into the disappearance of another vessel lost at sea around the same time, the Mont Saint-Michel, pointed to hurricanes in the area. However, it was determined that the Deering had been sailing away from the area of the storm at the time. Theories of a mutiny soon emerged as the most plausible explanation for the Deering's fate. A mutiny would explain the crewmates' boots being found within the captain's room and the mysterious change of handwriting on the ship's logs. Perhaps, despite Captain Warmel's kindness, First Mate McLellan had made good on his drunken promise to get the old man before reaching Norfolk. On April 11, 1921, a local fisherman named Christopher Gray claimed to have stumbled upon a bottle drifting near the beaches of Buxton, North Carolina. Inside was a message that seemed to unlock a piece of the Deering mystery, and Gray wasted no time turning the bottle over to authorities, who revealed the contents. Deering captured by oil-burning boat, something like chaser, taking off everything, handcuffing crew hiding all over ship. No chance to make escape. Find her. Please notify headquarters Deering. The note may be the explanation that they were searching for. The handwriting was verified to be that of the Deering's engineer, a Mr. Henry Bates, by Captain Warmel's widow, and even the bottle itself, a type manufactured in Brazil, added a layer of plausibility. The press began to speculate on piracy as the Deering's fate. Mind you, this was during the Roaring Twenties and not the 18th century. Piracy was not very common. The New York Times entertained pirates as a possibility, while the Washington Post ran with the idea, suggesting that they were equipped with a torpedo boat chaser or even a submarine that was acquired after World War I. These pirates were rumored to be bootleggers, rogue Germans, or Russians. The bootlegger theory gained traction because of Prohibition and the Deering's route through the rum-filled Barbados, with its hold capable of carrying a fortune in booze. Meanwhile, the Russian theory linked the disappearance to communist plans to seize American ships, which was bolstered by seized documents that urged the revolutionaries to steal vessels and rumors of blacked-out ships in Russian ports. Some argued that pirates wouldn't abandon such a valuable ship, and the crew likely perished in a mutiny or other accident. More ideas began to circulate, such as freak weather, leftover World War I mines, and tropical disease, though none of these fully explain the missing lifeboats or crew. The steamer spotted by Lightship Captain Jacobson had an air of secrecy about it. When hailed, the crew offered no response. Instead, they moved swiftly to conceal their identity. Perhaps they were the pirates that the media was so eager to find. A steamer named the SS Hewitt, matching the description of Jacobson's sighting, had disappeared around the same time as the Deering. Could pirates have commandeered the Hewitt? This could be the smoking gun that investigators were searching for. But just as quickly as the note stirred up hopes of answers, doubts began to surface. If the crew had been overpowered and scattered across the Deering, why would a plea for help request that the ship's headquarters, not the Coast Guard or the police, be notified? Soon after, federal handwriting experts declared the note a forgery. Under questioning, Gray confessed. The entire note was a fabrication, concocted in a bid for attention, perhaps a job at the Cape Hatteras light station. By late 1922, the investigation was quietly closed, without an official conclusion. The Deering's fate remains a riddle. The U.S. government's decision to close the case without an official explanation has only fueled endless speculation, leaving historians, sailors, and mystery enthusiasts to create their own theories. The most likely solution to me has to be a mutiny. The captain had clearly been replaced or killed during the final stretch of the Deering's journey. The remaining crew then likely used the lifeboats to abandon ship in order to evade authorities, but because of poor weather or other circumstances, failed to make it to shore and perished. But at the same time, I just can't bring myself to ignore the mysterious steamer. Perhaps it was a combination of misfortunes that led to their demise. Whatever truly happened to the Deering remains a mystery, buried in the depths of history, much like the shifting sand of the Diamond Shoals that claimed the ship.